So we're live. Welcome, people. Today it's Friday. It's Friday, and today on the wheels of steel, we have Andy. Today, talk to us what you're doing today, Andy.
I am just assembling, but I'm making lobster rolls. I ordered some lobster from Maine and kind of like a kit to make lobster rolls. And so lobster rolls are things that you get at every roadside stand in Maine. They have boiled lobster, but then also lobster rolls, especially at lunchtime. And it's like super simple. I mean, it's kind of chunk lobster meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put it in a little bit of butter and put it on a roll. It's actually a hot dog roll.
Okay.
And have it. And, the ideal is kind of like nothing fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of doing some prep work. I've got a little bit of corn, which I'm going to roast in the oven. So that's
Okay.
what I'm working on now.
All right, cool. Let's do your thing.
Just get some ears of corn.
Okay.
Which we're getting now because it's in season in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got it in foil, and I've got some salt on it, and I'm going to put a little butter on it and then wrap it up in the foil.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is even probably in itself a little fancy, because usually what you have with lobster rolls is just potato chips.
Okay.
The kit, which I ordered from a place in Portland, Maine, which is kind of the big seaside city in Maine, came with some potato chips.
Okay.
So these are a very good regional brand of potato chips from New England. Crispy, not super salty. We got some of those to go as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna wrap up my corn, and then turn the oven on. So I'm gonna roast the corn in the oven. I mean, I could do it on the grill, but since I'm doing everything else in here, it's easier to do it in the oven. And I'm just gonna roast it at 425 for like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like it roasted better than boiled sometimes.
Including
now.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Those are my corn packets.
Okay.
And then I've got this, which is I ordered a pie.
Blueberry pie.
A blueberry pie. Yeah,
nice.
And I was kind of we actually just got we got like 20 pounds of fresh blueberries.
Mm-hmm.
And Sherry was going to make a pie, really. There's no need to buy pie because Sherry makes better pies than you can buy.
Right.
I was a little nostalgic for this. And I'm hoping it's a Maine pie, a Maine blueberry pie. Sure, is a little bit different. Like, they're called low bush blueberries.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of very small and sweet blueberries.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of smaller because it's so cold in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a very short growing season, but then they put them in the pie with cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
So it tastes a little bit different than a regular blueberry pie.
Okay.
And I've just got a very basic Sauvignon Blanc from Chile. So Sauvignon Blanc is like the standard wine with seafood.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally like Sauvignon Blanc, like no matter what you buy, it's often of good quality, because it's not like a fancy wine like Chardonnay where people can really ruin it. And so you have to like know the brand you're buying. Like Sauvignon Blanc is pretty consistently good quality, and it's not like very complex, and it's generally like a kind of fruit flavor, like grapefruit. And this one from Chile is kind of guave, which is nice.
Okay.
And so that's what we're going to have with the lobster, and actually probably, You should just have like a nice beer, like a red stripe would be good, like a nice lager.
Yes.
But
kind of light, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean something that's pretty, doesn't kind of intrude on what you're doing.
Right.
But anyway, been drinking the wine and stuff.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
very
yes,
guava,
yes.
I will say.
Guava. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like a quarter up.
Yes.
So Lisa is going to come and be my assistant at 6:15. At which point we probably don't have much to do. I can kind of show you what we've got. So I got the kit, and so these are the rolls, and you can kind of see these are kind of like split top hot dog rolls that you see in New England's.
Mm-hmm.
That like they're not kind of like bun all the way around. They're more like kind of piece of bread.
Yes.
But they're really good, and kind of just kind of like hard dough bread or kind of like white bread.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
very soft and
Yes.
definitely not like fancy bread.
Yes.
And then so we've got this kind of like New England butter with sea salt
Mm-hmm.
that we're gonna heat the lobster in,
Mm-hmm.
and then Hellman's mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise. Okay.
Just
Mm-hmm.
kind of very basic brand of mayonnaise. And again, it's kind of like the kind of cult of the lobster roll is really like if you get fancy, then it's bad. Like it's really supposed to be like super simple,
Mm-hmm.
like basic hot dog bun, basic mayonnaise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all about kind of supporting the lobster. Which, if you get good lobster, and so this is a kind of nice pack of lobster.
How many pounds is that?
I don't know. 1 pound.
Okay.
1 pound. This is enough for 6 lobster rolls because they're basically like lobster salad.
Okay.
But you can kind of see, like the nice thing on a lobster roll is not just to get kind of chunks of meat, but like there's a big claw in here and some, some meat. And that's kind of the mark of a kind of quality lobster roll. And so, I mean, this is not going to be like getting a lobster roll in Maine where they're just kind of boiling the lobster right there. And I don't want to buy, I don't want to have lobster shipped, which you can do. You can get them shipped live, but I don't really want to kind of throw them in the water.
Okay.
Once they're frozen, they're not quite as good. But this is, this will be fine for the sandwiches.
So you've been ordering a lot from online. So talk like what sparked that? I know you usually get stuff online. We're in quarantine.
It was quarantine. I mean, just because we can't go anywhere this year. We couldn't go to Jamaica, obviously, because of the the 2-week thing. And so we were missing stuff. So I think it started just kind of like Lisa started ordering mangoes, and then we got some mango and some guava from Miami, which was nice. And then like I thought like what do I really miss in the summer? And it's kind of seafood. To go to places where you can get seafood.
Right.
And so then that just kind of spurred me to kind of like do a kind of seafoods from different places.
Okay.
So it started. We got some oysters from a place called Island Creek in Maine, which is in Duxbury, Massachusetts. They have oyster farms there, and those were really good. And then I thought, okay, like East Coast oysters are different from West Coast oysters, so I'll order some from the West Coast. And there, like we went with Taylor Shellfish in Seattle, which. The last time we were in Seattle in January, we went there and they have really good fresh seafood. So we get their oysters, although it turns out like, I think, if I were ordering, I would order the oysters from Massachusetts, but what was really good from Seattle was the mussels.
Right.
And on a kind of previous episode, Lisa and Sherry cooked mussels.
Yes.
We got very crabs and crab cakes and shrimp from Maryland's. And then I ordered some Caribbean snappers that Sherry roast. so we've just been kind of working our way geographically around to like all of the kind of like good seafood. And I think, to be honest, I mean, I don't have any kind of like evidence of this, or, like hard evidence, but I think like right now, a lot of places seem to have popped up that are shipping seafood, and a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier to get. And I think partly it's because they lost some of their restaurant market because restaurants weren't doing as much business.
Right.
So even now, sort of just kind of like partially reopened. And so I think so there's like seafood that like they needed to figure out a market for, and so they started shipping it directly to people. And so some of it is like just getting the seafood that the oysters, and the mussels were kind of shipped live. So they were super fresh, like they hadn't been frozen at all. So that was really great.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay.
It's kind of a way, because we can't really, we're not going to restaurants and we're not traveling. So it's just a way to kind of like do something on Friday nights that feels a little bit.
Are you ordering more wine now, or is it the usual subscription?
I mean, I'm still getting, the wine shop that we really like in town, Top 10. And I'm just getting my kind of like bi-weekly case from them.
Right.
And so that's our kind of like house wine that we drink. And so this is just, I mean, I've had this in kind of like past cases. It's a really good basic Sauvignon Blanc from Chile. And yeah, so the wine comes from here in town.
Okay.
Okay. And so part of it is like, we ordered some Chicago pizzas, which are kind of deep dish pizzas, but part of it is like, you don't want to order anything that you can make yourself or get here. So we have a really good butcher shop in town. Like there would be no reason to order meat from online.
Right.
It's really the seafood that's kind of the treat that you can't really get here.
Right.
And that, even if it gets to like a good grocery store, by then it's already, it's been frozen, it's sat. So this is much better.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Okay. Fair enough. But I heard you had some stories for me.
From Maine.
What kind of stories? Yeah, you had stories from Maine.
For me. No, I used to go to Maine every summer because my friend Shoshana, who you've met, her dad, before he passed away, he had a house in Maine that he would spend the summer at. And so we'd go there in the summer and kind of hang out. And so that's, when I sort of started spending time in Maine, and like a lot of it was like the Maine coast is really beautiful and it's kind of like I forget the exact statistic, but like the coast is so kind of like curvy and it's kind of like fjords.
Right.
That even though Maine it's not a small state, but it's relatively small compared to places like California and Alaska, but it still has like a comparable amount of coastline. Because like it's so kind of like curvy and weird, and like so you'll be there's a lot of kind of like peninsulas that stick out into the ocean. You'll be like in a town and you can kind of like look across the water and see another town. But if you want to drive to that town, it's like 30 miles away.
Right.
You go all the way inland and then come all the way back out. I see you're wearing a hat. That's not really a hat. That's a jar. And so, I mean, really, it's not, I mean, like, so Maine, as a kind of vacation spot, it started because, like, people from Boston would go up to escape the heat in the summer before air conditioning. They have air conditioning in the city, and so they would just go up to Maine where it's a good bit cooler because of the ocean breeze and because it's further north.
Right.
And so, really, it's nice for kind of like hiking and for coastline, not really kind of like beach in the Jamaican sense. Like there's a town just south of Portland, Maine, which is the kind of big seacoast city that has a kind of summer beachy type thing with a boardwalk.
Right.
But we never really went there, like we would do the hiking and stuff, and we would just hit a lot of lobster shacks.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
Okay.
you got, and, you know, you go and you kind of like, you order, it's all kind of outdoor seating, and it's kind of, you know, like a kind of structure, like, I mean, I guess it's, you know, it's kind of, it's a lot like going to kind of like Scotchies or a place like that, because, you know, like, the cooking is done indoors, but then you're kind of going to a window, and then eating outside.
Right. Right.
You know, and so what
Right.
they'll do is, because they're, you know, they're boiling the lobsters live, and so they've got the kind of lobsters right there. You know, they're often kind of on a pier, and like you see all the lobster cages, and people are actually coming in with the lobsters. You know, and so you order just, you know, you get a lobster and some clams and corn and potatoes, kind of all thrown into the same boiling water, and then it comes out to you, and it's just, I mean, it's like one of the few foods that like is good just boiled. And like the taste is a lot lighter and more buttery than spiny lobster. So you don't really want to overcook it. You just want to kind of like boil it until it turns red,
Right.
and then crack it and eat it with butter and lemon.
Right. Right. Okay. 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 And at that point, you would be having wine as well, or you just have a beer?
Probably beer.
Okay.
You know, and these places are all like, they're BYOB. You know, you got to kind of like bring a 6-pack in. And then, you know, for dessert, like I was feeling nostalgic for the blueberry pie, which is kind of the second most common dessert at these places. Although the most common dessert is grape nut pudding, which is, I mean, it's like grape nut ice cream, but like pudding. Right? So like it's rice pudding made with grape nuts, which I'm kind of missing. But this place didn't have grape nut pudding and stuff.
Right. 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 Okay. 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 Interesting.
So. Yeah, I mean, so I've spent, you know, kind of like time in the summer in Maine. I haven't gone for a long time. But that's the kind of story of, you know, and I miss getting lobster. I mean, I really, you know, like it's a different kind of lobster from the kind of Caribbean spiny lobster.
Yeah. Right. 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 Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So where are we in your preparation now?
So, you know, not really any place complicated. Like, I should put the corn in, which I wasn't thinking about doing. So, the corn is in for 25 minutes. Like all of this other stuff, I'm going to start some water boiling.
Okay.
So this is, I ordered some chowder, and instead they sent me lobster stew, but this is the lobster stew. Okay. You know, like, you get soup at these places, and it's always kind of like a chowder, which is to say it's like seafood and milk, right?
Right.
And so they made a slight mistake. I ordered the seafood chowder, which is just kind of like miscellaneous, like halibut and clams and other stuff.
Right.
Instead, they sent the lobster stew, which is going to be like a lobster chowder. You can get like shrimp and corn chowder, halibut chowder. And it's just, you know, it's going to be like, you can kind of see like the kind of like the milk here, the cream. And so that's actually, the instructions here are to actually kind of like put it in hot water and let it sit. It's kind of like a boiling bag, which is kind of interesting.
So you put it in the bag, in the water?
In the water, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You know, like that used to be kind of like pre-microwaves. I can remember being a kid, and that was kind of like a convenience food. So you would get like a plastic bag that was designed to, it was sealed, and it was designed to withstand temperatures. It would be frozen, and it would have like creamed beef in it or something, or chicken and gravy.
Right. Water
to heat it before microwave.
Right. Okay.
I haven't seen this for a while, but fine. I can do that. I will heat my water and then put that in. And then this, you know, the lobster is just going to be, you know, what I should do is, I think this is supposed to sit in a colander to drain. Okay. To drain this liquid out, so that's what I'm going to do now.
Okay. All right.
Here is our basket. Come here. But before you play basketball, what you have to do is let it away.
Here, I'll see if I can show you this.
Okay.
So, the lobster meat sitting in the colander.
Oh,
can you
cool.
see that?
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's it's been boiled obviously because it's turned red, and so like these lobsters, they're very big. Like a small lobster in New England is going to be a pound, and then you can get bigger ones.
Right.
And they're brown, and you just throw them in the water until they turn red, and that's how you know they're done.
Right.
So that kind of pink lobster meat, you can tell it's been frozen, and you can see the kind of big chunks in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, the cooking instructions are really, so we're going to drain the excess liquid for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have warm lobster rolls, and you can have it warm or cold because it's lobster salad. But what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a skillet with some butter, some melted butter, and just kind of like let the melted butter kind of work on it.
Okay.
And sort of heat it up for 2 minutes in the melted butter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put back this butter,
Okay.
which is just our basic butter, which I had used. I used for the corn because I'd already put salt on the corn.
Right.
And I'm going to get this.
Yes.
This Maine salted butter, sea salt butter.
Yes.
And I'm going to use that. I need to melt a little bit also to sort of make the rolls. And I'm going to heat the rolls in. I'm going to use my pancake griddle.
Okay.
Just because it's the right kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of, grill. You brush the roll melted butter, and then you grill them a little bit.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm going to work on now.
All right, cool.
Or maybe
You wait until
maybe
later.
a little bit earlier to start that.
Okay.
It's really fast.
Yeah. I imagine that the recipe itself, it's based on what I've seen online, it's not complicated at all.
Yeah, no, this is all pre-cooked. It's just a lobster salad sandwich.
Okay.
You kind of see like they're split top, but then they're not
Right.
kind of like bun all the way around.
Right.
And that's very common. Like if you're in like Boston or Portland, like places in New England, if you go to a hot dog stand there, like the hot dogs, instead of being pink, they're often bright red.
Right.
And they put them on this kind of bun.
Right.
And so, I'm also, I have a whole history of being a kind of hot dog
Connoisseur.
Well, I have a kind of interest in the regional variations on hot dogs, which I could tell you about.
Let's talk about that, Andy. Regional variations of hot dogs. All right. So hot dogs in Maine versus hot dogs in New York versus hot dogs in LA.
Yeah, so I mean, hot dogs in New England generally, Massachusetts and Maine, they're these kind of red hot dogs on the split top bun, and often with mustard. There's a place in kind of small town in Maine where my friend's father lived. There's a kind of little shack on the waterfront, and it serves hot dogs with apple chutney, which is really nice. I mean, but then there's the classic New York dog, which is kind of like the standard dog, but it has often like mustard and sauerkraut.
Right.
There's the Chicago dog, which has a kind of like strict set of rules for things. There's like a very green relish, onions, sliced tomato, sport peppers, which are kind of pickled hot peppers.
Mm-hmm.
And then often, like the way you can tell you're getting a really authentic one is if they put celery salt on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the rule is never ketchup, never ketchup on a Chicago dog.
Right.
Like there's the Mexican street dog, which you can sometimes get now in places in the U.S., which is like sold in Mexico, but it's a kind of hot dog that it's wrapped in bacon and it has jalapenos on it. Like there are other regional variations on the hot dog.
Right.
But I kind of, the West Virginia dog, which has coleslaw on it, and actually that's a kind of southern U.S. thing often to have a dog with coleslaw on it.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of, because I grew up near West Virginia, I was kind of familiar with that one.
Right. Is there a specific way how they did it where you're from?
Yeah, it was the Mexican. It was like the West Virginia dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it would be like a kind of foot-long hot dog on a bun with chili and coleslaw, and like sweet, like kind of like cabbage, you know.
Right. Oh, interesting. Interesting ways to do hot dogs.
Yeah, and you know, I get kind of like fascinated with these kind of regional variations on food.
Yeah, that's interesting that you kind of give that, you know, perspective, because I know you're very interested in food and you're very into food. So like even from a Jamaican perspective, what seafood in Jamaica are you or in general, what are you drawn to food wise in Jamaica?
Food wise in Jamaica, I mean, you know, like escabeche fish, I really love. You know, and that's probably like a nice escabeche snapper is probably like the best thing with festival. You know, but I also like, I mean, like I like, you know, like I like curry lobster. If you get a good curry lobster, you know, it's a different, you know, it's the spiny lobster, which kind of can stand up to the curry a little bit more than this kind of lobster does.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, this kind of lobster, like it would be overpowered by the curry. Like really, you don't want anything other than butter on it. You know, so those are the things that I really like. I mean,
so you're mostly you would say you're mostly like a seafood person, or I know food in general, but you're a seafood.
Like, I live in the middle of the country where you can't get seafood, and so often, like if I'm going to someplace where there's seafood, I'll eat seafood every night.
Right.
We were in Seattle, which has very good seafood because on the Pacific Ocean. And we went and we were kind of like talking about this the other day, you know, Sherry and I, like, just because it was in season, like every, for 3 nights in a row, like every dinner we had sea urchin. And it was just, you know, kind of like fresh sea urchin that they were cutting and opening, you know, and you kind of like scoop it out and it's kind of like a pudding.
It's okay.
So it's not, you know, it's not for everybody, you know, and I don't think like, you know, I don't think Sherry loved it, but like it's actually pretty good.
Just a description: pudding and cutting it open. Okay.
You know, that's kind of the sea urchin thing, you know, and just kind of like, you know, like getting oysters when we can get oysters.
Right.
You know, I mean, but obviously, like in Jamaica, there are, you know, like obviously, like a good jerk, like from Boston, is
right.
Kind of a key thing to have.
Right. Yeah, yes, jerk from Boston. I think I would. There's a documentarian that I worked with growing up before I went to school and stuff, and he was saying that jerk is Jamaican. I mean, it's from the Arawaks coming up, but you know, it's Jamaican. That's definitely a Jamaican thing. You know, so
yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's clearly related to barbecue because of the smoking, right?
Right.
And so, you know, like one of the things I want to do when Harrison's a little older, like 12 or so, is take him on a 2-week barbecue road trip, where we would sort of head east. And so like in the Carolinas, you get pulled pork barbecue, and then kind of like come through, like if you drive through Alabama, there's a thing that they only do in Alabama, which is kind of white barbecue. Right. It's like chicken and it's kind of mayonnaise-based sauce.
Right.
In Kentucky, like on the way out, there's a place in Western Kentucky where they make mutton barbecue. You know, because like mutton tends to be kind of like gamey and tough, and so like they chop it up and barbecue it till it gets tender.
Right.
And then, you know, Texas, it's kind of beef for obvious reasons.
Right.
So you could do it like a kind of 2-week trip. But, you know, because again, it's kind of like one of those things that I'm really fascinated by because of the regional variations.
Yes.
And so jerk has some similarities to that, right? But like, you know, I mean, the one place I will say, like, there was one place outside of Miami that I had what I thought was really good jerk, you know, outside of Jamaica. And it was clearly, you know, like Jamaicans were there making it.
Right.
And they somehow had pepperwood. You know, because partly it's having like the allspice wood. That makes the difference. You know, it's not the kind of wood that you use for U.S. barbecue.
Right. It's different.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, and you're also into regional variations of beers and wines as well?
Um, well, I mean, like the wine is, you're going to get it. I mean, because wine travels, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like you can get wine from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, beers, not so much. I mean, I like a good beer occasionally, but like I'm not one of those people who kind of searches out beer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's sometimes when I'm traveling, I think, oh, I get to have a beer that I don't normally get to have because,
Right.
Different regions have kind of like different, like in Missouri, like all the good craft beers come from either Michigan or Colorado, which are both big craft beer states.
Right.
But if you're in New England, like there's a lot of good New England regional beers, and if you're in Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of good regional breweries there. And that's actually like I lived for a year in Tacoma, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest, and like that's where I first started drinking beer, because like before that I kind of didn't like the taste of beer.
Yeah.
So like even in grad school, and like I was like in my early 30s when I moved to Washington, but like even in grad school, I didn't drink beer. Like I would drink hard cider or hard liquor or wine. And then when I moved to Pacific Northwest, it was just so ubiquitous. I developed a taste and sort of realized that there were kind of like different things to enjoy about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I am just, I'm kind of fascinated by the regional variations in food mostly.
In food. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
High end and low end. I mean, like I like high end restaurants, but then I also like like things like hot dog stands and lobster shacks.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. So how far away with that now? You're boiling water?
You're not supposed to boil it all the way. So what I'm going to do here. Yeah, okay. So you're supposed to put it in hot water for 9 minutes.
Okay.
So do that. You turn the water down so it doesn't actually boil, and then just leave it in there for 9 minutes, which is kind of exactly what I have on my timer for the corn.
Right.
And so now it's kind of a matter of getting the lobster ready. The lobster's been draining in the colander, so it should be fine. And I'm going to look at the instructions again. Yeah, okay, so it's going to be butter time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt about half this butter, which probably seems like the right amount. Half this butter in the microwave. And I'm going to use that to brush the rolls.
Okay.
Before I grill them. So just put this in the microwave for a minute. Okay, we had 8:41 on the timer when I started that.
Okay.
So when I go back to that, we're gonna have like 7.5 minutes for the go.
Okay. And desserts? I know you're into desserts, but are you like into desserts, like regional desserts?
No, I'm not like I'm into pie. I have a whole kind of pie thing. And I really like pie as a dessert. It's kind of my favorite dessert. Which you don't get much in Jamaica because, like, as we discovered one summer when we were there a long time ago, it's actually really hard to make pie in Jamaica because it's too hot and humid. And you need to kind of have it a little bit cool to make the dough.
Yes.
It's also like a little bit hard to find the ingredients.
Yes.
It tends to be kind of like tempered fruit. So peaches. So we got some local peaches today in our farm box. Sherry just comes here. It's kind of like summer fruit season. It's only a certain time of year you can get fruit here. Outside of like the winter classics like apples and bananas and grapes that come from somewhere else.
Right.
All right, so I got some melted butter.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my griddle heating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna so brush each side. I'm gonna take the roll and you can see like you split the roll. We're gonna brush the outside with a little bit of butter. Brush. I'm just putting a little bit of butter on the outside of the roll. And I've got 6 of these.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for each of them. I think this is the part of the show where I'd ask you what you're having for dinner.
We're doing, it's Freestyle Friday, so I think we're doing pan chicken today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think we're doing pan chicken today.
Nice.
Some jerk
You're
chicken.
getting it from a place?
We're up the road, up in Seafood. I don't know if you ever had anything from up Seafood outside of the chicken neck things that Lisa would get. But yeah, I think we're gonna have some jerk. Pan chicken is what we call it.
Yeah, weirdly, like even though I've been to Jamaica like five or 6 times, I think I've only had pan chicken once last summer that we got in Kingston.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But I know, you're more into seafood. So anywhere you go, like.
I'm kind of missing curry goat.
Curry
I'd
goat.
like to get some goat. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so I've got the rolls buttered, and I'm just gonna put them on the thing, and then kind of like grill them on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a little bit of butter left over here, which I'm just gonna put in my pan.
Right.
To cook the lobster.
Okay.
There's no sense wasting it.
Right.
And I probably just need a little bit more of this spot in here for the lobster. All right, I forgot about to set my timer on again, so I'm thinking like 5 more minutes on the corn.
Okay. Where is your able assistant?
I don't know. My able assistant is sometimes late.
Yeah. Okay.
So when she says 8:15, you have to plan on slightly later.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, I've got my tongs. I'm gonna let the things go for a little bit, and then get them. And I'm gonna, because after that 5 minutes, my soup should be ready as well.
Right.
I can just put it in the bowl.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, the lobster meat, really, it's like I'm going to melt this butter, and then I'm going to toss it. I'm going to put the lobster in and kind of just like toss it for 2 minutes.
Is it already seasoned, or you add seasoning to it?
It's not seasoned at all.
Oh, you don't season it?
The only seasoning is butter. No. Yeah, again, it's really about the kind of lobster flavor. Although we've got here, we've got the Hellman's mayonnaise, which is the kind of the very basic store brand mayonnaise.
Right.
Nothing fancy.
Right.
And you're supposed to kind of like put this in the bun before you put the lobster in.
Right.
So we're going to do that. So it's, kind of like double the fat content. You've got the butter and the mayo.
Yes.
If you go to a lobster shack, sometimes it's a choice, like you want butter or mayo, but really it shouldn't be a choice. It should just be, I want both of those.
Okay. Okay. Sounds delish. Definitely. Something I would try.
Yeah, what you have to do is, at some point when traveling is possible again,
Mm-hmm.
you have to come to the U.S. and we can go to Maine
Yes.
and kind of hit the lobster shacks.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. That would be absolutely, definitely.
I want to do a family trip at some point to Boston.
Boston.
And
Yeah.
while the lobster that you get in Boston is not quite as good as the lobster you get in Maine because it's always shipped from Maine anyway.
Mm.
You can get lobster in Boston and then kind of like do tourism stuff, and so you should come along for that.
Yes.
When
Absolutely.
the boy's a little bit older.
Yes, and he's able to stay out a little later.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm gonna see if these rolls. Yeah, those seem to be grilling, which is good. So I'm just gonna turn them over so the other side can grill.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe just kill the heat because they'll be grilled by the time the heat stops.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got my butter melting. It's starting to bubble a little bit, so I'm going to throw my lobster in.
Okay.
But really, again, because it's already pre-cooked, like you're just kind of warming this up.
Right.
So you want 2 minutes, no more. And I'll say, it's kind of an extravagance, like having this stuff shipped, but this is very nice lobster meat.
Yeah.
You can see, kind of claw meat.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of nice sandwiches.
Yeah. Yeah. Meat looks good. Fat looks.
Yeah, it's kind of, you can see
Yeah.
kind of fat beef.
Yeah.
I'm going to pour myself another glass of wine because I've gone through my wine.
Yes. Yes. You're the only person that has cooked that actively consumes their wine while they're cooking.
And so I've got this pie here, which I think needs to be cooked. Well, I'm not sure I got instructions for cooking the pie. Yeah, they didn't really give me instructions for cooking the pie.
How long do you guess
So I
to
don't
make?
know. You have to guesstimate, yeah. Maybe Sherry will know.
Huh?
Maybe Sherry will know what the pie.
Oh, you ask her?
I'll ask her.
You ask her? Okay.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. All right. Make it 375 for about an hour. Okay. So we got some time on that pie.
Okay.
So I'm taking my corn out, which is probably done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get a pie pan. Okay, so this lobster is done. We're going to take it off the heat so it doesn't get overdone. Everything is done here. I'm going to put this pie on a pie sheet in the oven. I said that was my one miscalculation was I didn't think about cooking the pie.
Right.
But, get an hour. It's Friday night. It's fine. Should work fine.
Yeah. By the time your dinner is settled in your
That's right.
yeah.
The pie is very juicy.
Yeah, but that pie should be good.
Yeah, got a mess here. Just because it was so juicy. So when I opened it, I got juice all over everything. So, the upside is because we were doing the corn, our oven is already preheated. And so you can see that pie is pretty juicy.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be very good.
So we'll just get that in the oven, lower the temperature to 375 and let that happen. That'll be ready at 7:30. Oh yeah, that's happening. So basically, I think I'm done here.
Mm-hmm.
Except as far as kind of like making the lobster rolls.
Right.
Again, I was kind of hoping for an assistant to help with this, but
It seems like she's still on her call.
Yeah, she is doing her business. So all right. So we have 6 buns. There's enough here for 6 lobster rolls.
Mm-hmm.
3 adults and 1 child. And so I'm thinking, every adult gets 2 lobster rolls and 1 adult gets a little shortchanged because half the lobster roll is going to go to Harrison.
Right.
Who may or may not want a lobster roll.
Right.
But so let's do this. So 2 buns here. And then what we want to do is put the mayonnaise on.
Mm-hmm.
A nice squirt of mayonnaise. And we will do that for everybody else. Getting these buns and kind of opening them up and putting some mayonnaise on them. Step we're at here. Just kind of a nice squirt of mayonnaise, which, okay. It's easy to mock mayonnaise, but it's actually a very good condiment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now what I've got to do is I've got to get all of this lobster meat onto these buns.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure everybody gets some nice claw meat. It's really, I'm going to say what's quite nice is there's a lot of claw meat here.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is just kind of like lobster sauteed in butter. We're going to get it on these buns. Just kind of try to be fair with the distribution.
Mm-hmm.
maybe give me a little extra as compensation for my labor. But not really. Just trying to be fair. Make sure that everybody gets the same amount.
Well, that's good. Yes, should always go for fairness.
All right, so that's pretty good. And then everybody, in addition to 2 lobster rolls,
Mm-hmm.
gonna get a bag of chips. We're gonna plate like so. And open the bag, throw it on the plate. Classic.
Nice.
Save one
That
bag
looks
for
good.
Harry.
That looks good. That looks
He'll
really
get his
good.
own bag. Right, so this is it. I can show you. These are our lobster rolls.
Nicely done. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good.
And I'm gonna put the soup. I'm gonna put the soup in 2 bowls, and that's it.
And that's it.
That's our exciting voyage through lobster rolls.
All right, cool. And it was done in under an hour. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Andy. So if until next time, we will be here on Flavor Profile whenever Andy's ready again, and who knows who's gonna be on the next episode. Thank you, Andy.
It was a lot of fun.
Bye. Yeah, man, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye.